Good morning, Cornelius. Welcome to About Town, typically hosted by Mayor Woody Washam, and today hosted by your communications manager, MaeLynn Joyner. Thank you for tuning in today. I am joined by a special guest, Chief David Baucom. Would you like to say hi to the people?
Sure. Good morning, everyone.
All right, so we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the police department and some holiday safety tips, as well as some upcoming events. But let's jump right in by getting to know David a little bit more. Can you tell me about how you got into law enforcement?
Sure. So, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was working at a warehouse that's similar to Sam's Club that's called Pace Warehouse. And they had off duty deputy sheriffs that worked there. And I got to know them. And one in particular was actually a martial arts instructor. So, through him, I got involved in martial arts. And the more martial arts I took, the more I got involved and met other deputy sheriffs. And he just kind of led me on a path to law enforcement. And I'm very thankful for him. He was actually the sitting sheriff of Mecklenburg County uh, one sheriff ago. His name was Sergeant Carmichael. So a very, very dear friend of mine still to this day. But you know, who knew just an average kid working in a warehouse one day would meet someone like that would have such an impact on their life.
Yeah, that's not an average path to get into
No,
law enforcement at all.
no.
How long have you been with CPD?
So I've been with the Cornelius Police Department like 24 and a half years. April will be 25 years for me.
Awesome. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that long tenure. Did you work anywhere before Cornelius?
So I worked for the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office for almost 6 years before I came here. Hence that connection to Earl Carmichael, who got me involved in it back then.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time working there. Got a lot of experience working in the jails. I spent about 2.5 years working in the jail. Roughly a year and a half, 2 years working on their fugitive transport division. And then the last year I spent there, I worked on a domestic violence unit where I served and enforced restraining orders.
Oh, wow.
So it was a good time when I was there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, we're happy to have you here now.
Well, thank you.
And you've been a great police chief so far, at least in
Mm,
my eyes.
mm.
What's your favorite part of being a police chief?
I would definitely say the people, the employees, the residents, and really everybody that we get an opportunity to kind of interact with. This is just a great community to live, work, and play. And, it's great being in the position I'm in and being able to get that opportunity to go out and just meet everyone.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people probably don't know what exactly a police chief does. Can you describe your duties as the head of the department?
My goodness.
The list
There's
goes on.
a lot of duties. And if anyone knows, I was sworn in as the chief of police on it was technically January 3rd of 2023. So I haven't been in the position that long, but I have been with the department for a while. But a lot of the duties are administrative, preparing the budgets, planning, not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but trying to look at more long-term goals 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and see what the needs of the department and the officers will be even then. Of course, there's the regular kind of day-to-day activities that go on, reviewing reports, personnel matters, things like that. And, of course, I love to still get out and police when I can.
Hmm.
Every opportunity I get, I go out and work with the officers because that gets me out in the community.
Hmm. Definitely. And I know people love seeing you out and about. It sounds like it's a pretty challenging job, all in all. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders, and you handle it with grace. But what is the most challenging part of it for you?
Probably the most challenging part is just simply the time management and prioritizing. My heart and I've always said this is on patrol.
Hmm.
That's the greatest job in the department because you're out in the community. You're actually doing what you got into law enforcement for. You're
Hmm.
serving and protecting and trying to help others. But through the years, the way things happened and I got promoted, I came to realize that it would be really good for someone who cared so much about the community and patrol to be in the higher ranking positions because they have that mindset.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned patrol. I know that there are several different units and divisions within the department. That's one of them, correct?
yes.
Yeah, what are the others that police officers fall into?
So patrol makes up by far our largest division that are in field operations. That's probably 80% of our officers work there, and that's the officers that you see, in uniform in marked cars responding to calls.
Hmm.
In addition to that, we have a traffic safety unit. We have three officers, a corporal, and then a sergeant assigned to that unit, and they go out and address all the different traffic concerns around town, whether it's speeding, stop sign violations, just pretty much anything that comes up. We also have a lake patrol unit.
Hmm.
We are responsible for patrolling the waters of Lake Norman within Mecklenburg County. So we have an 8-member team that works out there with a supervisor, and they are available to respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to anything that happens on the lake,
Hmm.
and that's just a great resource because this time of year you may get a bright, warm, sunny day, and people want to go out and enjoy the lake, and they just don't realize that yes, it's hot outside, but the lake temperature has dropped, and
Hmm.
if they go in, they can suddenly be in a dangerous situation. So those guys are there available to respond. On the other side of our department, we have our support services division, and that's where we have officers who work in training and recruiting. We have school resource officers. A lot of that is what I call kind of the logistics behind the scenes side of the department.
Hmm.
We also have a detective division. We have four detectives and a supervisor assigned there, and they work, a whole array of cases, from person cases to property cases. And we also have what I like to refer to as our crime reduction unit. And there's four detectives assigned there, and those guys go out and just kind of address whatever the crime of the day is. If we're experiencing car break-ins or
Hmm.
larcenies at one of our larger stores or something like that, those guys go out and address that and try to help solve that issue.
Okay. Well, good resources all around. And it's nice to know that our department is so well staffed by
Hmm.
very capable individuals. I know I've spent some time with the Lake Patrol Department, and they're a great group of people. Like you said, a very important resource when you have as much shoreline as we do compared to the other municipalities around here. And I know during the summer, the lake can be a little bit of a challenge for them. And like you said, there are
It
some
is.
winter challenges too and dangers out there. What would you say differentiates the Cornelius Police Department from some of the other departments in our region?
So we do things differently. We really care about our community. Our patches say community policing driven, and we strongly believe in that. And, I would never want to talk bad about other agencies, but we certainly try to go that extra mile.
Hmm.
If we can help someone, we have some seniors in the community, and at times we may have gone and picked up prescriptions for them or changed a light bulb,
Hmm.
or I've even helped a lady reset her answering machine because she had a power blip, and when it came back on, it was in Spanish and not English. So just that opportunity to kind of be involved with the community, I think is really what makes us different.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't see that. I didn't know that you went that far above and beyond, though I did know that you do that very often. I know even recently, police officers were collecting shopping carts out of the Food Lion parking lot and around town.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and we do that because they're one, they belong to Food Line, so
Hmm.
it's their property, but it's also sort of an eyesore out in the community. So
Hmm.
we'll get some officers together and go collect them and bring them back.
Yeah, well, that's just awesome. You don't see that a lot of places, just taking that initiative and really taking the time to care about not only, property being returned to where it's supposed to be, but how the community looks and how it feels and
Hmm.
just really, taking care to cultivate that sense of community is something that you don't see in a lot of police departments. And so I'm glad that we can brag on that here. Before we head to our commercial break, how safe would you say Cornelius is?
Cornelius is very safe compared to other towns, in this area. But I always tell people, just always be vigilant. Just watch out for your surroundings, and don't take for granted that crime's not going to happen, because we do have crime happen.
Hmm. Yeah, well, that makes sense. It happens everywhere, but
It does.
rest assured you're in good hands. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. You are listening to About Town. See you soon.
About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam will return after this short break on the new 1059 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. 12 Days of Christmas giveaways starts this week, December 7th through the 22nd. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN, where winners will be announced. Some of the prizes include a scooter, karaoke machine, tech toys, and a free stay at Greystone Lodge in Boone. WSIC's 12 Days of Christmas giveaway starts this week. The Docksiders, performing at Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday, are almost sold out. The Docksiders will take you back to the year 1981. Their unique and eclectic tribute act of yacht rock features songs from Hall & Oates, Christopher Cross, Kenny Loggins, and more. The Docksiders, Saturday, December 9th at Kane Center for the Arts. To purchase your tickets, visit kanearts.org. Want to see more than 5 million Christmas lights at one time? The Amazing Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through January 7th. The show is open 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway, now through January 7th. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. Santa is here. Schedule your time to take pictures between now and Christmas Eve in Birkdale. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from a professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit BirkdaleVillage.com. Come enjoy a classic Christmas in Mooresville this Friday. Wagon rides, ice skating, face painting, life-size snow globes, and so much more. Enjoy some time with Santa and the Winter Wonderland experience this Friday night, starting at 5 p.m. For more info, visit MooresvilleNC150.com. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. We are expecting sunny skies today through the entire day. Afternoon high is going to be up near 53 degrees. Mostly clear skies through the evening and into your overnight hours. Low temperature should be above freezing tonight. We will drop down to 35 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Santa says, stay informed with the best talk from WSIC.
Welcome back to About Town. I am your host today, MaeLynn Joyner, filling in for Mayor Woody Washam, and I am joined by a special guest, Chief David Baucom of the Cornelius Police Department. I will say I am happy to hear the weather forecast. It sounds like it's finally winter. No more 60, 70 degree days.
Just wait a day. It may change again.
You never know. I can't trust my Apple weather anymore. So we just talked a little bit about you and how you got into law enforcement and a little bit about the department, but I'd like to know more about your priorities as chief, because it seems like every chief has their own priorities and their own agenda that they would like to enact throughout their tenure. And I know mental health has been a big focus for you and your administration so far. Can you tell me a little bit more about why that is and what made this topic stick out to you as one that needed to be prioritized?
Sure. So there's always been sort of the stigma with mental health in law enforcement. And, when I started, I was no different than anyone else. The motto was kind of, suck it up, buttercup, and just keep going, with what you were doing. And no one really took a look at the toll that this job has on police officers, over a period of time. We see things, we hear things, we experience things that normal people just don't.
I can't imagine.
And we have to have a way to kind of process that. And, it's very difficult sometimes to just keep that all inside. So, you need a mechanism to get that out and hopefully help you deal with it better. And I guess my first, real dose of a horrific incident here was back in 2015. Lieutenant James Quattlebaum was shot in the line of duty. And I saw what he went through and the other officers that were on scene went through. And, I realized that we've got to take some steps to one, make sure that they get the help they need, but also the other officers for all the other things that they kind of see. So we've really made great strides towards that. 2 years ago, the town approved a plan. It's the First Responders First program, and it gives officers additional access to mental health resources and really just an outlet to talk to someone. And it's not just a counselor. It's a counselor that has specific training in dealing with law enforcement officers and things that we kind of see and kind of experience. And I think as a country, as a nation, we've seen that shift, especially with what law enforcement has been through in the past, just a couple of years with that public sentiment really being turned down on law enforcement. And, I will say, thankfully, I've never experienced that here. This community has been 100% supportive throughout my entire career, and we're so thankful for that. But, when you see and you hear things and it's on the news every night, it still impacts all law enforcement officers. So it's just important for us to kind of normalize and really recognize and say, yeah, mental health is important, and sometimes they need a break. Sometimes they need an opportunity to kind of step away and get a fresh start.
Definitely.
So,
And I think your average person can't fully grasp what it is that an officer sees on a day-to-day basis and how you do kind of have to brush that off a little bit. And I think a lot of people just assume that it's part of the job and it's what you signed up for. But I think most officers signed up for it because they wanted to take care of people, not because they wanted to see horrific things every day.
Right.
Yeah, so it is still important that they receive that treatment. And would you say that your staff has taken well to these new initiatives?
They have. It's been very beneficial, and like anything else, change is difficult.
Mhm.
For any agency, for any person. But I think our plan to kind of normalize it, and it just kind of becomes part of the routine that
Mhm.
after a very horrific incident, we do a critical incident debrief and we talk about it and we
Mhm.
bring in a trained professional so the officers have that opportunity to kind of get that out.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helped normalize it, and hopefully one day no one will even miss a beat. When we have something, it'll be expected that they're going to talk about it and hopefully get it out, and and be able to move on to the next call.
Yeah, that would be great. And, it does take time. It's one of those things where you might not want to admit that you need help right off the bat, but
Right.
you can always tell when it's taking a toll on you,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
definitely.
Yeah, it's a heavy weight to carry around, and we thank you all for doing it.
Thank you.
What are some of your other priorities as chief?
So my priorities kind of shift depending on what the needs of the department and the community are. But overall, my main priority is just to make sure that I'm preparing my staff for the future. Giving them the tools and the resources and the training to replace me one day.
Hmm.
I've told many officers that nothing would give me more joy than to know that I swore in a future police chief. And that I was able to help provide them the opportunities they needed to progress through the department and one day run the department and serve this community.
Yeah, and a strong manager, the manager seems like a weird word to use to describe the chief of police, but that is essentially what you are. You're the manager of the police department.
Right.
And having a strong manager is very inspiring for a lot of people, and it can bring out a lot of attributes, characteristics that you might not have known that you had. And so
Right.
hopefully your police officers take advantage of you while they still have you around and
Well, I hope they
use you
do.
as a resource. What are some improvements that you want to see in staff? I know we have a very strong police department, and that overall we're all very happy with the service and the quality of service that we receive. But from you, what are some improvements that you'd like to see?
So no specific improvements. Again, just making sure that we're providing them with those resources and tools that they need, just so they can better do their jobs. It's like trying to hit a moving target many times because especially with technology changes every single day.
Hmm.
So the technology we have today may work today, but it may not work tomorrow. So it's just kind of keeping an eye on that ball and making sure that we're keeping up with the needs of the department, which in turn helps us keep up with the needs of the community for the cases that we're working.
Do you think that we've done that so far, kept up with technology as quickly as it's
We have.
developing? Yeah.
It's taken time. This past year, we implemented quite a few new programs under digital forensics that have been extremely beneficial in working the cases. And we're working a very serious missing child investigation right now, and through that case, it kind of brought to light some of the tools that we didn't have that we did need.
Hmm.
So certainly we don't want another case of that magnitude in the future, but if we have something else, at least we have those tools and resources kind of in place.
Absolutely, and that's a good thing to keep track of, because I know with how quickly everything moves, you miss one beat and all of a sudden you're 10 steps behind and you didn't even realize it. So I'm glad that you guys are staying on top of it, and I'm sure that's very reassuring for our community to know. We also operate our own 911 center, and I'm sure that develops very quickly too. The technologies that are available to those call centers.
It does.
Yeah.
Our 911 center is really an asset to this community.
Hmm.
There's only 3 PSAPs, public safety answering points, in the county, and one of them is here, one of them is in Pineville, and then the other one is in Charlotte.
Hmm.
But when a resident or someone driving through, remember the community calls 911, it goes to our 911 center here, and our dispatchers are familiar with the area. They can quickly dispatch officers to help, and I just can't say enough good things about that 911 center, and it is expensive because we do have to keep up with the ever changing technology, and thankfully there's money allotted by the state through 911 funds that helps with that, but there's still a lot of costs associated with it. But it's more than worth it to have that resource here, so that you know people aren't getting put on hold, calls aren't getting transferred to other agencies. When you call 911 here, a live dispatcher here answers, and we get help on the way.
Yeah, when you need help, you get help, and that's a great thing
Right,
about
that's
it.
what's important.
I know when Vaughn and Steve were here the last time I hosted, we talked a little bit about the 911 center, but I don't think I asked what area our 911 center actually covers. Is it just Cornelius?
It's just Cornelius. We do contract with Davidson College, so we respond or we answer calls for them. So, but
Hmm.
it's primarily just Cornelius now, and years ago we dispatched for the town of Huntersville and also the town of Davidson, and that was great then because we pretty much had the whole north end of the county. So when something happened in one town, everybody else in the other towns knew about it. So, but like I say, that times change, and right now it's just the town of Cornelius, but it's still a great resource for all of our residents here.
With how much populations have grown in our neighboring towns, I can't imagine it would be super sustainable to keep up operations for the other two as well. So
right.
I think it was a smart decision.
We would definitely have to add staff.
And it is also nice that, like you said, the 911 operators here genuinely know the town very well. They probably live here and they definitely work here.
Yeah, many of them live here, and many of them have worked here for a long period of time, so they're familiar with all the different areas in town.
And that's great, and I'm really happy that we have that. Those are some improvements that you wanted to see within the department, at least technology-wise. But I asked you a minute ago how safe you thought Cornelius was. Are there any crimes that we see more frequently here, or incidents that we see more frequently where the community could be more vigilant?
I would definitely say property crimes, and that could be anything from larcenies to vehicle break-ins to any number of things. And I think it's because people do believe this is a safe community, and they kind of let their guard down. It's not uncommon to see people that go to a local park and they leave their purse in the front seat, they leave their window down, they leave their door unlocked, and certainly they shouldn't be victims of a crime, but they're almost inviting it to some extent. So we have a program that's called Halt Auto Break-ins Today, and we promote that, and we really encourage people, especially if you're out exercising, to lock your valuables in the trunk of your car or in the rear of your SUV, and just make it more difficult. And the same thing at your home. If you have an automobile that uses a key fob and a push button start, make sure you take the key fob out of the car.
Yeah.
Because if somebody comes to your neighborhood, all they got to do is open the door and step in and push the button, and if the car cranks, they know that they have your vehicle then.
Yeah.
And they may only take it for a joyride, but during that joyride they may tear it up or whatever else. So anything we can get them to do to try to lessen the opportunity to be victims of crime is helpful.
Absolutely. I know whenever I switched from a car that had an actual key, I had to insert and turn, to a car that was just push to start, I would walk out every single day like, where is my key? I would just forget about it. And I think a lot of people do when you get into that habit of having an actual physical key on you. So I think that's a great tip. Those don't happen often though, right?
No, we have some auto vehicle theft, and when you look at our numbers, and I just reported on them to a presentation yesterday, the numbers look higher than they really are, but a lot of times it's more unauthorized use, but it gets listed as a vehicle larceny.
Yeah.
So someone let a friend borrow their car and they didn't return it and aren't answering their phone, they can't get it back, so they have to come to us to help retrieve it legally.
Yeah, well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to head into another commercial break shortly, but is there anything else you want to share about your priorities as chief, just for our residents to know?
Just know that, our residents are our number one priority. We're out there, we're visible, we're available to respond anytime they need help. And like I say, and we really do have such a great community. It's not uncommon for residents to flag officers out and just say thank you. It's not uncommon to go into a restaurant and maybe a resident buys a meal for a police officer. All those are just, wonderful attributes that this community offers to our officers, and, we just appreciate it so much.
Yeah, very kind of them to do that, and I'm sure very much appreciated by our officers. You are listening to About Town, and we will be right back after a few brief messages.
There's more About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Get into Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville.
It is hard to believe it is December, but we at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, we are ready for the year-end. Year-end savings are all around. We have got 2023 Chevrolet Equinoxes discounted up to $5,000. In stock, ready for delivery. Also, the new Colorado's in stock, ready for Santa's sleigh. Come see them today. Randy Marion Chevrolet right here in Statesville, I-40.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. We are expecting sunny skies today through the entire day. Afternoon high is going to be up near 53 degrees. Mostly clear skies through the evening and into your overnight hours. Low temperature should be above freezing tonight. We will drop down to 35 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Brace yourself for the ultimate holiday deal with Consumer Cellular. Snag an incredible 50% off the Iris Flip when you buy before December 17th, making it only $34.50. The Iris Flip is all the phone and camera you need with a user-friendly design, the perfect flip phone companion. Plus, you'll get nationwide coverage and always free activation. Score 50% off when you use promo code RADIO50. Head over to consumercellular.com and use promo code RADIO50 during checkout to score this deal.
Get ready for holiday feast season with Pepto-Bismol.
Uncle Derek's here with his famous fried turkey. Hey, Aunt Mary brought the mac and cheese. Donna's here with the potato salad.
Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief for unexpected stomach upsets. So enjoy the holidays. Pepto has you covered, no matter who made the potato salad.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Fall is here, and Little Shavers has the supplies you need. Wheat straw, pine needle, grass seed, pelletized line, landscape edging, and railroad cross ties. Got a deck that needs staining? Little Shavers has PPG paints and stains at prices you can afford. Fall is a great time to replace your furnace filters at Little Shavers. Get the products you need at reasonable prices from Little Shavers, 3301 Salisbury Road in Statesville.
It's About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
That is a jazzy song. I think I like that one the best. Welcome back to About Town. I am your guest host today, MaeLynn Joyner, Communications Manager for the town of Cornelius. I am filling in for Mayor Woody Washam. And I have a very special guest with me today, Chief David Baucom of the Cornelius Police Department. So far, we've talked a little bit more about David and how he got into law enforcement and his priorities as chief. But next, it's time to talk about the most interesting topic whenever it comes to working in government administration, and that is the budget.
Oh boy, the budget word.
I know, the big scary B word that takes over a lot of our time this time of year. We start our budget process very early on so that we can make sure we have a very comprehensive budget, that we fund items that are priorities for our citizens. And the police department is a big part of the budget. I won't say the biggest because I don't actually know, but...
Right, we are the largest department in the town, so yes, we account for a large percentage of the budget.
Yeah, just staff alone, it does take up a big piece of the pie. And that's a good thing in a lot of ways because, you know, the expenditures that you have are necessary for the function of the department and for public safety as a whole. This past fiscal year, I know we passed a few items that you had been wanting for the department. What were some improvements that were made in FY24?
So probably the biggest improvement was adding SROs to our elementary schools.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been a topic of conversation for some years, and you know, CMS funds the SROs at our high school and our middle school during the school year. They pay for 9 months, we pay for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we always felt like there was this need at the elementary schools, and at one time we had a DARE officer who floated between the elementary schools and taught DARE, and then the DARE program kind of went to the wayside just a little bit. But you know, we still had that need, and you know, it's so important for us to be able to get out and interact with, especially young children, and start building that relationship with police, you know, early on, so that they know that we really are there to help. You know, if they're lost or they have a problem or if there's something going on at home, they can come to us and we'll help. So in May of 2022, there was the horrific school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And at that point, it really, really became a priority to me to try to really push to get SROs in our elementary schools. But in addition to that, we were trying to think of what we could do right then. So we actually started a school safety patrol program, and we asked for volunteers from the community to just come to our schools. Now they were fully vetted. We had background checks and all that, so it wasn't just a total stranger on the school grounds. But they were kind of our eyes and ears and looking for anything, you know, suspicious that may be going on campus. Just, you know, trying to be, you know, that barrier between us or between the bad guys in the school, you know, that could hopefully report something to us sooner rather than later. So that worked really well, and we're actually still doing that. But through the budget process, I requested SROs for our elementary schools, and thankfully that was approved. it started out a half an officer for a half a year, or one officer for a half a year, but it ended up being two full-time officers, which was great. So we selected Officer Jamal Rucker and Officer Baxter Road to work at the schools, and they're doing great. The schools love it, the kids love it, the parents love it, and we love the fact that we have officers there on campus. You know, there's no faster response than to have someone there when an incident happens, and you know, we hope and pray, of course, that we never have, you know, any type of active shooter incident on any of our campuses, you know, really anywhere in the world, but you know, much less on our campuses. But at least if we do, or we have any other incident, we have an officer there that's available and ready to respond at a moment's notice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I'm sure that makes everyone feel a lot better about
I
it.
hope
Like
it
you said,
does.
it's a sad reality that you never know what's going to happen, and we
Yeah.
hope and pray that it never happens here. But I know both of those gentlemen fairly well, and I don't think you could have picked anyone better
No,
to protect and guard our schools.
they both have a love for that type of, you know, involvement with our youth. You know, Jamal is helping coach the football team at the middle school. He wants to get involved in basketball. You know, Baxter is doing really good things at the school there and trying to start a mentor program and just, you know, kind of be that person the kids can come to if they do need something.
Yeah, and that's great. I know I saw on Facebook recently, if you're not following Cornelius Police Department on Facebook, please do, for lots of feel-good content, but it looked like Baxter had gone to a student's family restaurant, and Officer Rucker was helping with Girls on the Run. And so
Yes.
it's nice to see how involved
so
they actually do get.
They're very involved, you know, with the schools and with the community as well. And, you know, between the work that they're doing and also the work that Officer Martorelli is doing at the high school and Officer Nobles is doing at the middle school, you know, we have a great thing going with our SROs up here. So I'm very, very proud of that.
Yeah, you should be. It sounds like they do a lot of extracurricular activities, or at least things that are not in their job description. What does an SRO fundamentally do?
So they're there at the school, number one, to provide, you know, security, but in addition to that, they also sort of serve as a mentor, and then they also teach somewhat in the class. Now, there's not instructional time necessarily set aside for them to teach a specific class, but there are opportunities for them to teach on a topic to, you know, the kids, whether it may be a safe driving class to the high school students or something that would help prepare the middle school students, and even a program such as DARE at the elementary schools. You know, we're trying to get either DARE or another program they have out that's called GREAT, Gang Resistance and Education Training, but it has a component of DARE in it. So, you know, anything they can do to just help teach those kids and again, help, you know, prepare them for the future.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of their role.
And I think it starts with having a good relationship with law enforcement at a young age. Like you said, just that visibility alone, because so many people, even as adults, they see a police officer and their first instinct is to be fearful for whatever reason.
Right. And I'll tell you one of my pet peeves, if you're out in a store and someone's child is misbehaving and they see a police officer, the first thing they tell the child is, if you don't stop, I'm going to have that police officer lock you up. And I have told more than one parent, do not tell your child that. You know, we do not want children to be afraid of us. We want children to come to us when they need help.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, definitely. I will start preventing that whenever I see it out and about, and I'll stop telling my children that. Yeah, so what are some other improvements that were made in this last budget aside from our wonderful SROs?
So we're doing some security improvements within our building. You know, over the last couple of years, we have seen a lot of changes in law enforcement. We actually had 2 protests in the street out in front of our police department, and we quickly realized that, you know, thankfully they were peaceful, but had they not been peaceful, we may have had some difficulties, you know, maintaining control of our building. So we're doing some improvements there internally. Our CAD system that our officers use to get dispatched to calls uses mapping, and we realized that no one here within our department is a mapping expert. So we actually contracted with a company that, you know, is helping keep all of our maps up to date so that the officers can respond, you know, quicker with all the new development and changes across the town. The streets are changing almost daily sometimes. So this service makes sure that, you know, that we have the latest streets and addresses in our computer system so that the officers can respond as quickly as they can. We also replaced some crime scene equipment. You know, we spoke earlier about, you know, the ever-changing, you know, technology. Well, it's not only the digital age, it's physical things like crime scene cameras, things like that. You know, over time they kind of wear out or need to be replaced, or maybe there's just a newer product out that's much better. So we replaced some of that as well. So, you know, we we were able to accomplish quite a few things we wanted within budget, and we're just thankful for the support of the board of commissioners and also the town manager to allow us to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it's all much needed equipment that is being delegated in the budget over to the police department. I have two quick questions for you. I know the fire department often talks about these new developments that are coming up and how density changes their approach to fighting fires and how height changes their approach to fighting fires. Do these denser buildings pose any challenges to police officers who are responding to calls?
It does, and what comes to mind for me first is apartment complexes. If you respond to an apartment complex, it's often not easy to find your way around. The buildings, yes, they're labeled, but they're not all labeled in the same place, the same location. Some use numbers for apartments, some use letters. Some it's the odd alphabet on one side and the even alphabet on the other, so it's very difficult to find your way around. So, in areas like that, it's definitely a challenge, and that's one of the reasons we encourage our officers to get out and be familiar with all the complexes and housing developments within their response area. Just so if something bad does happen, they can respond that much faster.
Yeah, I know even in my own apartment complex, I live down in Charlotte where they're 10 times bigger and 10 times crazier. I can hardly find my way to my own apartment sometimes, so
yeah.
I can only imagine how hard it is for police officers. You also mentioned some security cameras around town that have been replaced. I know recently some neighborhood security cameras went up or traffic cameras went up. Was that a resident-funded initiative, or was that mostly the neighborhood?
It was resident-funded, and we added 2 cameras on Chaton Road, and that had been a project we'd been working on for a period of time, and we had a couple of cameras out there, and they were kind of aging out, but we also had some intersections that we felt like needed coverage and did not have the coverage, because if we have a crime occur, of course, we use our camera system to try to help locate suspects, vehicles, or anything like that. So this will help narrow down where someone, may have turned. But the residents of that community got together and funded that project, and we were able to add them to our existing camera system. And while we would have loved to have used town funds to do that, those funds are limited, and at this point we're pretty much just kind of keeping up with the system we have, replacing cameras as needed, and we do try to add some when we can, but certainly if there's any other areas in town that would want to do something similar, we'd be happy to work with them as well.
Yeah, definitely. It is very good to see the community come together and try and get something like that going, because the budget is very constrained. It might seem like this giant dollar amount, but at the end of the day, every single cent has a place that it needs to go, and so we can't just add things to the budget, sadly. I know that you said that neighborhood specifically reached out to you and you've been working with them. What are some other ways that the department receives support, whether it be from neighborhoods or different organizations? I know Top Deck is a big contributor.
They are. So Top Deck was funded after Lieutenant Quattlebaum was shot in the line of duty back in 2015. The community really gave us a big outpouring and wanted to support us, but we realized that there just wasn't a mechanism in place really for residents to be able to donate. So Top Deck was formed, and they've just been phenomenal. Don and Bridget Rainey run that foundation now, and the basis of the foundation is to support the officers. So hopefully we can talk a little bit more about that after the break.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us. We do have a few messages from our sponsors that we'll play for you quickly, and we will be right back with About Town. I'm MaeLynn Joyner, Communications Manager, and we will be right back.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. 12 Days of Christmas giveaways starts this week, December 7th through the 22nd. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN, where winners will be announced. Some of the prizes include a scooter, karaoke machine, tech toys, and a free stay at Greystone Lodge in Boone. WSIC's 12 Days of Christmas giveaway starts this week. The Docksiders, performing at Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday, are almost sold out. The Docksiders will take you back to the year 1981. Their unique and eclectic tribute act of yacht rock features songs from Hall & Oates, Christopher Cross, Kenny Loggins, and more. The Docksiders, Saturday, December 9th at Kane Center for the Arts. To purchase your tickets, visit kanearts.org. Want to see more than 5 million Christmas lights at one time? The Amazing Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through January 7th. The show is open 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway, now through January 7th. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. Santa is here. Schedule your time to take pictures between now and Christmas Eve in Birkdale. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from a professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit BirkdaleVillage.com. Come enjoy a classic Christmas in Mooresville this Friday. Wagon rides, ice skating, face painting, life-size snow globes, and so much more. Enjoy some time with Santa in the Winter Wonderland experience this Friday night, starting at 5 p.m. For more info, visit MooresvilleNC150.com. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. We are expecting sunny skies today through the entire day. Afternoon high is going to be up near 53 degrees. Mostly clear skies through the evening and into your overnight hours. Low temperature should be above freezing tonight. We will drop down to 35 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
'Tis the season on WSIC.
Now more About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to About Town, typically hosted by Mayor Woody Washam, but today you just get little old me, MaeLynn Joyner, the town's communications manager, joined by Chief David Baucom of the Cornelius Police Department. Thank you for tuning in. We were just talking a little bit about Top Deck, which is a local organization that donates a lot of equipment to the police department and has been a great supporter. I know we trailed off with your thought a little bit, but is there anything you want to add to that, Chief?
Sure. So when Top Deck was founded, like I say, there was a public outpour of support, and we didn't have a mechanism in place to really accept that. So it was formed, and their mission and goal is to support the officers. And when we talk about budget, what I take to the manager and the board are needs, but sometimes there are wants also that we may not necessarily consider a need, but it would still be beneficial to the department. So that's where Top Deck has really stepped in. We have we will have 13 miles of greenway. When the
Emerald Necklace
right is completed in just a few years, or maybe sooner than that. But we quickly realized that we needed a way to patrol those. So Top Deck did some fundraisers, and they actually helped us buy, or they purchased 2 dual sport motorcycles that officers can use on the greenway. And those have been great. We used them in a parade just this past weekend, but unfortunately, not everyone can ride a motorcycle. So they came to me and said, "Well, what else would you want?" And I said, "Well, I would love to have a UTV." So sure enough, they do a fundraiser, and we were able to buy a UTV just a few years ago that we use to patrol the greenways. And the benefit of it is that it's a licensed vehicle, so anyone with a license can drive it on the street just like they would any other car. So, you may see it riding around town, and, it can easily go off-road onto the greenway, or, into another area if we need it. So, kind of in addition to that, Top Deck provides a gift for officers on their anniversary, and, it's always something meaningful, and the officers look forward to it. And, it's exciting to have a group of people within our town that really love and support the police department that much, and they're willing to go that extra mile. And of course, they can't do it without the people that donate as well. So anyone that's interested, they have their own website. I'm sure that Bridget or Don or both would love to speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely. There is always room for more people to support our police department, and there are many different ways to get involved. I know the police department also hosts several citizens academies, or at least just one throughout the year, correct?
Yes. So years ago when we first started it, we would do a Citizens Academy in the spring, and then one in the fall as well. And then over time, the public interest kind of dwindled just a little bit. And then, of course, we got into COVID, and we weren't able to do them at all. But we've started them back, and we actually just graduated a class on November 21st. So we do them in the fall. It's a 12-week program. Citizens come one night a week, normally on Tuesdays, for about 3 hours. We provide a meal, and then we do a presentation on a different area of our department. So it's a great opportunity to expose citizens to the department and all the different, components within the department, whether it's our communication center, our accreditation, our SWAT team, our K-9 unit. At one time, they were able to take tours down and see the courts and the jail. Now, we haven't been able to do that again since COVID, but I hope that we can get back to that as well. But we've also been able to get quite a few volunteers out of our Citizens Academy. And you think, well, what would a volunteer really do with a police department? And I promise you, if you come there, we can find something, for somebody to do.
Yeah.
But we have two very long-term volunteers, and they've helped with everything from clerical and records type stuff to helping strip old police vehicles and getting them ready for surplus. So that's just another benefit of the Citizens Academy is we develop those long-lasting relationships, and it's just a great resource for us to have.
Yeah, definitely. And there's always the animal shelter too if you
Oh,
if you
yes.
need
Yeah,
somewhere to
definitely the
volunteer.
animal shelter.
Yeah, you got some cute pups down there. Saw them on the website earlier. So those are just a few ways that citizens can get involved. But back to the budget just a little bit. I know we've talked about SROs, we've talked about equipment. What are some of the projects, expenditures, different things that have come from the budget in the recent years that you think have made the biggest difference?
So, like many agencies, we were experiencing vacancies, quite a few vacancies in recent years, and the town recognized that and started implementing salary studies. And they do their best to keep our salaries competitive with our neighboring agencies because it's difficult to recruit and hire and train a police officer, and then it sucks for them to stay with you for 12 months, 18 months, or 2 years, and then suddenly they're gone to another agency because they can make $5,000 more there or something.
And it's right down the road. It's not like it's a hard transition.
Right. It's not a hardship on them to move. So the town has really done a great job, increasing our salaries, and now they're taking a look at it on a regular basis, and we're staying competitive. We're certainly not the highest paid by any means, but I feel like that the officers are being fairly compensated based on their duties and responsibilities here, and again, just can't thank the board and the manager enough for recognizing that and that support. Probably another big change is our vehicles. When I first started here, we all shared vehicles. We called it hot seating it. That vehicle ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And over time, they realized that we needed more vehicles. We were just wearing vehicles out too fast, and honestly, we couldn't buy vehicles faster than we were wearing them out. So we implemented a one-on-one car program, and it took probably about 10 years to get to that point, but we're at that point now where everyone has their own assigned car, and much like someone who goes to work in an office building, their desk is their office. Well, that police car is that officer's office. So all of his things are there. Everything's right where he left it when he went off duty the last time. So that's been a great benefit. And then as long as we're not having a major gas hike, we're able to take the cars home for the most part. Even a short distance away from the town, so that's just an added benefit and perk for the officers that come to work here to be able to take their car home.
Definitely, and especially for the officers who live in town, I'm sure it makes their neighbors feel a lot better that there's a patrol car parked in their driveway.
Definitely, we love that, and this is an expensive area to live, and the town actually implemented a residency incentive to make it more beneficial for not just police officers but firefighters and really all town employees to be able to live here where they work. But yeah, it's definitely a benefit to have a marked police car in a neighborhood. It serves as a great deterrent, and also those officers are able to respond very quickly if we have an incident and we need extra help.
Yeah, definitely. I can see how it's a good situation all around for everyone involved, and with a few different types of vehicles too. I'm sure it makes officers feel more comfortable that they know exactly which one they're riding in that day. I know you also mentioned salaries, and excuse me, I know that a lot of people like to look at the salaries in our region and they say, well, why wouldn't this officer just go down to Charlotte and work at CMPD and get this much money? But there is a different appeal to working for a town like ours in this type of police department. And some of it is just the pace, like you said, and the nature of the work. And so I think that with the initiatives that we've taken in hand over the past few years, things have gotten a lot better. We're down to just one vacancy, correct? And that's great to hear. I'm sure a couple of years ago we never thought we'd get to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest differences is here everybody knows each other, and we created a motto recently, and the motto is family strong and community focused, and we really believe in that family atmosphere. Not only with the police department itself, but also as a community. We care about not only our families, but everyone's family that lives here, and that to me that's the difference between us and a large agency.
And that's a great difference to make. So speaking of families, lots of families live in Cornelius, and lots of families are getting ready to celebrate the holiday season. Do we typically see an uptick in crime around the holiday season?
We do. I was actually at a crime initiative committee meeting right before I came here, and one of my members was telling me about a package being stolen off of their porch, and unfortunately, that becomes more and more common this time of year as people are having Christmas presents delivered and all that. So I would just ask everybody to be vigilant. If you can use an alternate address to have packages delivered, of course that would be helpful. But if you know your neighbors or a friend or something like that, and maybe you're at work and you don't get home till 6 o'clock, but maybe they could go over there and check, and if a package was delivered, they can kind of hold on to it for you until you can get home. So, but we do see that type of increase this time of year.
Is there anything else, or is it mostly just the package thefts?
Just larcenies and property crimes in general, and kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, just be vigilant. Make sure that your vehicles are locked, all your items are secured in the trunk, and don't make yourself an easy victim, whether you're at home, whether you're at the shopping center. Just always be aware of your surroundings, and think about the possibilities that someone may try to take advantage of you.
Yeah, vigilance seems to be the real key. And speaking of stealing Christmas, I think it might be a good time to use the Grinch button, if everyone can hear it coming on. There we go. It's a little louder than I thought it'd be.
Yep, the good old Grinch.
All right. Well, we don't have much time left, but I thank you for being here, Chief Baucom. I know we've talked a lot about budget today, so I want to ask you, as the person who hosts the budget survey, how important is it that residents take it?
So it's very important that the public take that and provide that feedback, because the town really does look at that information, and they take everything that the residents say into consideration when they're determining what that final budget includes. So very important. Take it if you can.
Yes, the budget survey does ask for your priorities as a resident, and it specifically splits the budget up into different categories where funds can fall. Public safety is one of those, and so if you're an advocate for public safety, please go and share your opinion, and if you're not, also go share your opinion so that we can get an accurate read of what our community actually wants. The point of the budget survey is to build a comprehensive budget, and one that is, I can't take anything seriously with the Grinch music fading out in the background, but the point of the budget is to have a very comprehensive understanding of what you all want, and so please go to cornelius.org. We're at about 200 responses right now, and if we could get that up by the end of the day, I would be a very happy communications manager. Just a couple upcoming events. Tomorrow, December 8th, is the last day to register for Deck the House, hosted by Parks and Recreation. Enter your dazzling home in the traditional or Griswold category for a chance to win big at cornelius.org/PR. Flashlight Candy Cane Dash is Saturday, but that is sold out, so put it on your calendar for next year and get there early. And you can catch CPD at the annual boat parade on December 16th. Thank you all for tuning in today. My name is MaeLynn Joyner. Thank you, Chief Baucom.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
We'll catch you next week on About Town. Have a great day, Cornelius.